men and what it's going to be like hosting, and then we'll go into questions.
Okay. Yeah, to recap a really good weekend for our Saluki women swimmers and divers. Um, just to start with some of the individual performances and some of the individual accolades, I want to give a lot of credit to my diving coach, Joy Zhao, who was diving coach of the year, well deserved. Bao Baoji and Bebe Ji won 2 on both diving boards for the 3rd year in a row. Every time they've competed, they've won 2 both diving boards. So, they're top performers. They'll be moving on to the zones, NCAA zones here coming up in a week or so to try to qualify for nationals. And then to start off the swimming side of things, the very first night to come from behind and win a medley relay that SIU hadn't won in many, many years was really exciting. Got us off to a good start. It's a long meet. It's a long championships. It's 3.5 days, and it's hundreds of swims, hundreds of dives. So there's a lot to deal with over a long championships, and so there were ups and downs. It's a roller coaster ride. Those meets always are, but we really hit our stride. The first full night of competition. Won another relay on the second night. Had conference record set by Lucia Romero, one of our freshmen from Spain. And so there were a lot of really great top-end performances. Our depth showed up here and there, and that's what you need to win that meet is a lot of depth. We have those top ends. We went from not having a relay higher than 5th at the championships last year to winning 2 of them, being 3rd in a couple others, and 5th on the last on the 800 free relay. But it takes depth to win that meet. We've got that top end. We're building the depth as we go through our recruiting processes. And I was really pleased overall with how they fought, how they those that had periods where they weren't getting what they wanted, make adjustments and come back and be great the next time. And so we have a big group of seniors on both the men's and women's sides. We lose 12 women on the women's team to graduation and 10 men. So we lose a lot of experience there, but the majority of our scoring and top end potential is coming back next year. So the future looks really good for the women's team. But overall, great weekend. Great season. It's not over yet. We'll take 5 women to Cleveland State for the National Invitational Championship in 2.5 weeks. I kind of compare that to the NIT for swimming. And so we've got 5 women relays that'll go compete. We'll look to break some more school records and set some more lifetime bests and whatnot. But to this point, 7 school records on the women's side. So a really good season overall. And when you look at the totality of it, dual meets, mid-season invite, and then going through the championships, I think we achieved a whole lot. And I think our seniors leave here feeling really good about their senior year and how they contributed to this program moving forward. And then to look ahead to the men's meet, it'll be great to host the MAC championships here at home. It's been a few years since the men have had the meet here, and it gives us just a familiarity. It gives us our home pool advantage. I think it's going to be Missouri State is the team to beat, just like they were on the women's side. They've got that depth. They've got that top end, and the men's meet is a little bit different in that it's 5 teams, where the women's meet is 8 teams. So it's more about top end, about winning events. There are certain events where there aren't even enough men to fill a final and a championship final and a consolation final. So all those men will score. It's more who's going to score on the top end to score the most points. So we've got a lot of potential there as well. Relays on our men's side too has been one of our main focus this year, to put some pride into our relays and race to win them. We've also got some standout performers on the men's side. Adam Charnek is a freshman for us who leads the conference in both backstroke events, and I think is second right now in the 200 IM. So he's already achieved an NCAA B cut in the midseason, and just missed it in a dual meet at Mizzou a couple of weeks ago. So I think he's primed for great championships. Our divers as well, we're going to rely on them for a lot of points. We've got 3 male divers competing, and they contribute a lot as well, just like the women do. So we're excited to get the championship started. It's the men get to see the women go through their taper process and peak and have their big meet while they're still working hard. Now the men are in that phase, so they're starting to look good and feel good, and they're excited about next week.
In recent history, Missouri State has pretty much dominated the MVC. How you get the same amount of scholarships? Do they have a lot of walk-ons? How do they keep their dominance as far as winning?
Well,
I hate to ask that question.
no,
I mean,
it's a really good question, because we went there for a dual meet. We saw their facilities, and it pales in comparison to what we've got here. So my question is, if they can be that good, why can't we? That's the plan, is to we've got to get those walk-ons that are going to contribute. We have 20 scoring spots at the conference meet, and all 20 of their scoring swimmers scored, and that's how you win that meet. And so that's our goal, is to kind of raise our bottom of our team up so that our last 2-3 scoring spots are scoring points. This year we had a handful of our scoring swimmers that didn't make the top 16 finals, and that's where we've got to shore that up, because we've got the top end. We've got kids winning events, we've got relays winning. It's about that depth and bringing up the bottom end.
So they do get a lot of walk-on that brings up the point total as far as, or do they split their scholarships differently than we do?
I don't think they split them differently. They just have those contributors at the bottom end. They're where we look at our team right now, there's a pretty wide gap between our top end and our walk-ons.
Right.
So we're just trying to close that gap. We picked up some additions at semester too. Lucia Romero was one of them that joined us at semester. They also picked up 3 women at semester, two twins that were both top 8 finalists in all of their events. So it's just kind of that how we move forward in recruiting, what we focus on. Our focus, like I said, has been our relays, and that creates depth in those events, which when you get to a championship meet, if you've got 4 women who are on winning relays, they should all score in all of their individual events. And so we focus on that. Sprint depth, middle distance depth. We want to be a well-rounded team. We want to have our distance swimmers. We want to continue to have that tradition here. That's
you basically hit the St. Louis and Chicago areas as far as recruiting.
That, and I mean, we're all over the country. We've got just several commits in the last few days from California, from Arizona, from Arkansas, and internationally too. We've got this year on the team, we've got 11 countries represented, so we do a lot of international recruiting.
Your medley relay for the women, how much did you kind of tinker with that lineup throughout the season? Did you have those same 4 people pretty much all year?
Especially for the 200 medley, it's such a short, detail-oriented race that we really had that one figured out at the beginning of this semester, and we just got them a whole bunch of reps. That one's got to be perfect for it to be good. And so when Lucia Romero came in January, she solidified herself as the lead off on that, and then the other 3 had been pretty well set in those spots since the beginning of the school year. So it's just a lot of reps, especially with that relay.
With the weekend that Lucia had, how do you build that and make sure she doesn't lose steam, especially as a freshman?
Well, I don't think she has any idea how good she can be. I really don't. I think there were things that we were teaching her right up until she was getting in for her races, that new things that she's learning. She comes from a background where she was training 3 or 4 days a week and not doing anything in the weight room. And so just in the couple of months we've had her here, we've seen a lot of improvement, and I think that just fuels itself, that she's really excited about her summer long course season. She'll go home to Spain, and she's got potential now. I think thinking about the potential of making national teams, this may not be her Olympic year, but I could see in 2024 or 4 years from now where she's a really dominant presence in the NCAA, and that leads to international competition too. So she was tired at the end of the weekend. We used her a lot, and she performed really well every time she dove in. So she's, like I said, she's still really raw and really has a long way to go.
Is the MAC still a good spot for the men
see?
Well, I think if we can continue, if we can grow the conference, if we can get a couple more men's teams in, and I know there's discussion with some other conferences who've lost men's teams recently. I know Valparaiso has a men's program that competes in a different conference. They're interested in coming back in either the MVC or the MAC, whatever we see in the future with that. It's a quality conference. I mean, it at the top end with Miami, Ohio, and Missouri State, and hopefully us this year and in the future. We see ourselves, those three teams in particular, we see ourselves as national programs, and so logistically, geographically, it makes sense. It's just a matter of if we can continue to grow that, if we can get a couple more teams in to make it a really solid, sustainable conference.
And there's 5 now, right?
5 now.
You and Missouri State are the only traditional Missouri Valleys.
Evansville is also in.
Others are-
Yeah, really, it's
There's
two
only two MACs?
2 MAC teams, 3 Missouri Valley teams at the moment.
And Little Rock is in women's.
Yes, they don't have a men's team though.
Are you pleased with how your first year has gone?
I am. Yet to be determined on how the men's meet goes. I think they're going to do really well, but mostly just the buy-in. With 22 seniors, there could have been a lot of pushback. There could have been a lot of, this is the way we do things here. But they really bought into an entirely different program than what they were used to, and I think they were accepting of change. They were really welcome to do some new things and focus on some different aspects of the sport, and a new staff, new personalities. I think we've got a great coaching staff, and so our chemistry, the way we just enjoy day-to-day operations, I think rubbed off on the team, and they really enjoyed, especially the seniors. I wanted to make sure that they felt like they had a great senior year, and we did right by them. And there were a lot of tears from the women on Saturday night when it was over for them, but also a lot of great words of thanks and appreciation for the year that we were able to have.
What's your schedule in the summer as far as training, or do the kids go to various meets, other meets like AA, I don't know whether they have AAU anymore,
Well,
things like that?
yeah, the summertime is long course, 50-meter long course racing. There's USA swimming season, USA Nationals. I mean, this summer is an Olympic year, so we've got Olympic trials in June. At the moment, we don't have any of our U.S. kids qualified for trials, but I think we've got potential to have some kids qualify. A lot of them will go home to their home clubs and compete for their home clubs. We hope that some of them will stay here and continue to train. We've got Shea Natatorium with the ability to train long course, which is something that no one else in the conference has. So to take advantage of that, that's really the next step for our program, is to have people training in the summertime and committing to swimming year round. We can't mandate that by NCAA rules, but
That's an interesting thought. Are you guys, your scholarships that you give to various athletes, they're good during the summer, so they could, like the basketball team or the football team, all stay the scholarship at least, and get paid for it, right?
some could. That has to be approved, and there's a process with that. But some that'll stay and take classes, continue to get ahead in their degree, so that during the school year, during the competition season, their class load isn't as much. They can take some during the summertime and stay on track for graduation. And yeah, train. I mean, swimming's a year-round sport. I mean,
that's one of your goals, to have a lot of the team stay.
It would be great. It would be great. I mean, in my previous Division I stops, Arizona and Wisconsin.
Can those team or those athletes be coached during the summer? Do they have to do individual workouts on their own?
We can, as a club team, they can be coached with the club team that exists here, or if we choose to create a club team and coach them as USA Swimming athletes.
You said you had a totally different program, Jeff. Could you tell me what's the biggest difference in your training program than what we're doing?
We focused a lot on strength and power and athleticism, and I think we saw that in some of our relay performances. Just that we were more explosive, more and focusing on different events. And I think the previous Rick's program was very geared toward distance swimming, more volume, and my philosophy is more high quality. We use the weight room and strength training became a lot bigger part of the program than it had previously been, and I think there's a lot of ways to do it. There's still coaches, very successful coaches, doing it more on a high volume type of program. But to me, I think we've evolved as a sport to where the better athlete you are, the better swimmer you're going to be, especially short course yards in the NCAA format. And so I think a lot of that showed up. I mean, one of the events last year, SIU scored 0 points in the 50 freestyle. And this year we had 2 in the final. We were second and fourth, and then we had 2 in the console final. So I think that was kind of indicative of what we had focused on this year versus some of the things that had been focused on in the past.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.